Hey everyone, Geo here, and welcome back to another Reddit video. So today, welcome to r/retail hell. I don't know how many stories I'm going to do for this video today, but we shall see how many stories I put in post. So the first story I have today is customer wants to sue us for lack of security, but also refuses to answer security questions. Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. I work in retail banking fraud, but was helping on Frontline today for training reasons. I had an insanely angry customer today. We had rejected her dispute for very valid, provable reasons. And she was furious, saying that she was going to sue us for millions for having no security measures in place. She wanted a physical copy of the Data Subjects Access Request, or DSAR, sent so she could pass it to a solicitor. Which, fine, I can sort that out since I was working Frontline today. So, doing ID is important when we do this because it's very sensitive information. I asked her to verify her identity, and she refused and demanded to know why. I explained it's for security, and she called me a C word. I refused to say it. I explained again. Got called a scammer, and that I was calling her a liar about who she was. Muted for 30 minutes for abusive language. Let the data team know what was going on. After 30 minutes, it pops back up and I asked her to ID herself again, which she does right after calling me that word. Unfortunately, it was the customer, so I had to keep going. Then I asked her to confirm her address, and it starts again. Refuses to do it. I tell it's for security and ensure our data is up to date. She calls me swear words. Says the company is purposely making this hard to do, and I'm accusing her of being a scammer, a liar. I'm racist against white women, and that she was going to find her CEO on Facebook. Mute again for 30 minutes. Come back, ask again. Call the spastic and to off my... Oh my god. Screw that. Had to ask my manager to help, as it was the end of my shift, and he just told me to log off and he'll deal with it. What even the hell was that about? That was just a stupid customer, OP. A very stupid customer indeed. Does anyone else feel like retail is an insane asylum? Answering the same stupid questions every day, 6 times a day. Hearing the same 8 songs play on repeat over the overhead. Putting up with the same BS day in and day out because nothing will ever change. That some coworkers don't work, night crew will always screw you over, and some managers will always be incompetent. What am I doing here? I wasn't put on this earth to pretend to be happy about making... Oh my god! Oh, about making poverty wages to explain to some generic frick how buying in a store works. This is too real. I used to work in retail. This is way too real and relatable. I just don't have patience anymore. Fine. You're asking me if all parts are included in the box. Good question. Except I probably answered that same question 265,896 times in the past 2 years. I just can't anymore. This reminds me of the time when I was insulted by an old man customer, which I do have the video in the description. Lady has been pretending to be helpless. Rant time! Oh boy, here comes rant. This is one customer I'll call Susan. Is a regular of a small chain I work for. She has a bit of a habit of being very demanding and dramatic, all with a sugary disposition until she's told no. After that, she gets nasty. She openly hates a lot of our workers, but unfortunately for me, I'm one of her favorites. She seeks me out or asks for me specifically whenever she comes in. Today, I found out why. Whenever she comes in, she makes a big show of having trouble walking, and me being a good customer service rep, I am being graced with patience for the older population. I always move to help her. She's always needy, asking me to hold her purse, hold her phone. Sometimes she'll ask me to untie and retie her shoe. I've learned that she likes to talk about herself, so I can keep her from asking non-stop ridiculous requests by inquiring about her life. She often complains that her family won't talk to her. I wonder why. Sounds like someone I know. Anyway, every time Susan comes in, she always needs 100% help ordering from the kiosk and needs 100% help for using a ATM, saying her husband's too shaky. Her husband's too shaky. Her hands are too shaky. Her wrists hurt. She can't see the screen, etc. I always help, trying to get her in and out without meltdowns. With meltdowns. I cannot read today. Today, I was on my break, and she came in and my coworker assisted her, and Susan didn't realize I was nearby. Tell me why this woman walked in, flew through the ordering process and the ATM with absolutely no assistance. No stumbling, nothing. She took a while checking out because she kept trying to sidetrack my honestly much more intimidating coworker, but mostly did everything by herself. I knew she was dramatic, but damn! I guess she's about to hate another employee because I'm done with enabling her maladaptive behavior. Done, I say! Not on sale is the next story. Yesterday, I had a customer who insisted her item was on sale. I work for a store that was some women's clothing items, home decor items, some greeting cards and balloons and gift items. We also have some natural cleaning products and also some soaps and shampoos. We currently have a sale on cleaning products. This woman comes to the checkout with some hand soap. I check her out and she insists that her hand soaps are 40% off. I tell her the cleaning products are 40% off, and these hand soaps are 20% off. There's nothing I could do to change that price, so I sent her to customer service. They are right beside me. The first thing she does is use my name and tell her that I am incompetent, and rude. Customer service goes on to explain to her that cleaning products are 40% off and these hand soaps are 20% off. Phew, call the manager! She tells the manager how incompetent and rude I am, and how incompetent and rude the customer service is. The manager explains that cleaning products are 40% off and hand soaps are 20% off. Now she's debating that hand soaps are cleaning products. The manager says, no, would you like these at 20% off? And then she storms out of the store. Last week, it was Christmas ornaments. They were 50% off for Old World Christmas, which were 20% off. The sign was clear. We ended up putting that sign at the cash register. Customers are still incapable of reading them. I thought this would be a fun job, part-time at a cute boutique. Customers are the same everywhere. Oh my god, that is too true. That is too freaking real. Oh, this has got to be one of my favorite subreddits. Okay, this is my last story of this video. I can't even cooperate. No, I keep reading it wrong. I can't override corporate. So this customer called last week and she picked up an order for catering Christmas Eve. Claims the tenderloin she ordered was inedible. For reference, we sell cold meals so people can reheat and serve. I asked if she followed the heating instructions that came with the meal, and she said yes. She then tells me she called corporate and they offered her a $50 voucher. But no, she wasn't happy with that because she spent over $100 on the tenderloin alone. Ay Dios mío. Which, like, valid, but I don't want just half what I paid either. She told me that she talked to them twice, and that's all they could do. She called me hoping I could maybe do something more, which makes you think me, an associate, can do more than corporate told you to do. I'm not trying to lose my job. Then she got all upset because she spent a lot of money not able to enjoy the food and wants all of her money back. I can't do anything because corporate already made a decision. It's not common knowledge that corporate is well above an associate. It is very much common knowledge. Corporate is like way above an associate. I spent over an hour dealing with this woman. Oh. This is... I'm so glad my other coworkers dealt with the crappy customers. But sometimes I had crappy customers too. But I don't work over there now. I'm doing something much better. Anyway, guys, welcome to r/entitled parents. Now, this first story is messed up, honestly. I don't know how many stories I'm going to put in here, but this first story kind of aggravates me. So it's called Karen Takes Her Dog into a Store, Claims It's a Therapy Dog for Her Kid. Obligatory long-time lurker. First-time poster, never thought I'd see this in the real world. Delete if not right, etc., etc. My mom and I, 19 female, 41 female, had our weekly Saturday workout today and decided afterwards to go into the store, Walmart, where all the crazies go, to pick up some snacks and groceries. After we got there, though, we ran into our entitled family of the story, though more accurately, the entitled mother, Karen, who's in her 40s, and her 3 kids, Jack, Sabrina, and Tommy. And last but certainly not least, their small dog, maybe a Papillon or something, I don't know. If you didn't know, most stores in the US don't allow dogs inside unless they're service animals. At this particular store, though, no one can actually come up and ask you if your dog is a service animal, and they have to just let you go. The only rule they otherwise have is that dogs aren't allowed in the baskets, the big part of the cart, since people put food there. This, of course, is where the problem starts. As my mom and I were leaving the meat section to go to the dairy section, we run into our first encounter with Karen and her family. Both of her kids, Jack and Sabrina, are standing off to the side, looking extremely embarrassed, while their little brother Tommy is just standing there looking a bit bored. Karen is standing there yelling at and insulting an employee. The reason was interacting with his employee in the first place was because their dog's sitting in the basket of the cart. Every time the employee tried to explain to Karen that dogs aren't allowed to sit in the basket of the cart, Karen kept biting back, saying that her dog was a service animal. While all of this is happening, myself, my mom, and everyone else in the store is rubbernecking and staring at this woman. So many people watching that there was a small traffic jam in the meat and dairy section of the store. Eventually, though, Karen lets out and puts her purse in the actual designated seating area on the cart for her dog to sit on, yelling at her kids to help her this entire time. but I wouldn't be writing this if it was the end of the story. By the time my mom and I are done shopping, we had an entirely full cart, even needing an extra one for us to transfer groceries into. And lo and behold, can you guess who was standing by the self-checkout? We see and hear Karen yelling at an employee, demanding the manager because another employee was acting very disrespectfully to me. All 3 employees by the self-checkout ended up on the radio paging their manager. Let's call her Amanda. And she showed to a huffing Karen. Now this is where it gets interesting. Karen is standing there, half screaming at the manager, telling her that your employee was very rude to me, and your employee called me stupid. And other things that I didn't 100% hear that fell into the same category. All of this, of course, wasn't true. She was only referring to the incident by the meat and dairy department, and from what I had heard, the employee was just calmly trying to explain to her that she couldn't have her dog in the basket. That's it. No insults. No implying that the dog wasn't a service dog. Nothing. My mom even ended up telling me that after the woman left, she would want to talk to the manager and explain what she had seen to make sure the employee didn't get into trouble. Of course, this is not where the craziness ends. Since my mom was the one bagging all the groceries, I was eavesdropping to see if there was anything interesting that Karen said. And there was. Something that shocked me, to be honest. Karen tried to argue that the reason her dog was in the store was because someone in her family was autistic, and the dog was some form of therapy dog. Therapy dogs are also not allowed in the store, only trained service dogs. Common knowledge, really. Now, I'm not going to say that I know everything about autism, but I have 2 younger brothers who are 12 and 13 who are both pretty low-mid functioning autistic. And I know even more kids with autism from different birthday parties and school board meetings I've been to. I want to say that because I have never heard of an autism service dog until now. There is no such thing as an autism service dog, let me tell you that. Autism service dogs are a real thing though. Oh, I'm wrong. Anyway, so it was almost willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. And I actually paid attention to her kids. Again, not exclaiming I'm an expert of autism or anything, but none of her kids were acting in a way that would imply that any of them had autism. Both Jack and Sabrina, 2 teenagers, looked incredibly embarrassed and scared as their mom talked. Both of them ended up hiding in their sweatshirts, standing a few feet away from her. I also paid attention to the youngest boy, Tommy. The entire time, Karen was yelling at the manager, Amanda. Tommy was off to the side filling with the pickpockets of his sweatshirt and walking around the cart. And again, I don't know everything about autism, but from my brothers and the about 8+ other autistic kids I've ever met, they would be freaking out in a situation like this. They won't just be standing off to the side twiddling their thumbs. They would probably be honestly upset and be trying to leave or having a complete meltdown or at least hiding behind their parent. As an autistic person myself, I probably did that when I was a kid, but I grew out of that. Even ignoring that, if any of their kids were autistic, no one else was watching them. There was no father at the store, and none of the kids were paying attention to each other, and neither was their mother. Is there a possibility that we're higher functioning? Yes. But you don't come to the store with a dog that you claim is a service animal, without a leash, without a harness, and without any form of service dog identification. Yell at the staff because they ask you to take the dog out of the basket of the cart, and then demand a manager and lie about what the employee who talked to you said. Eventually, Karen and her posse stormed off into the women's section, and my mom went to tell the manager what she had seen, and apparently many other people went up to talk to her too. I have no idea what else has happened to them, or if anything will happen because of this. My mom intends to stay on Facebook to see what pops up there. As we were leaving, a thought came to my head. I don't know if I came up with it or heard of it somewhere, but I think it fits here. Don't use a disability to substitute your own inability to be a good person. I love that, OP. I love that. Even when her kids were disabled in some way, she didn't have any right to be such a horrible, entitled person to the staff. That is so true. That is so true. Okay, this is the second story of this video. Just because I go here doesn't mean you can just corner and question me. So, I go to college in Boston, and these are constant tours here, and lots of people around campus that are not students. People are usually polite and ask where something is, which I'm happy to help them with. However, I am not your damn tour guide. I would also like to preface this by saying that the school I go to isn't a big preppy school. People are constantly leaving and coming back for co-op and study abroad, etc. It's more independent and just not the kind of school where it's appropriate to corner students. The other day, I had just left my apartment to go grocery shopping, so keep in mind I'm carrying a bunch of reusable grocery bags, so it's pretty obvious I'm going somewhere. I'm walking and I see this woman and her daughter standing and talking. And as soon as I begin to walk past, the woman steps in front of me, cutting off my ability to walk. She asked if I'm a student, and I said yes. And she immediately starts throwing me questions. I am visibly uncomfortable, and this poor woman's child looks humiliated. At this point, I said, I'm not a tour guide. I'm sure they can answer all your questions. This woman replies that tour guides don't give honest answers, and she wants real students' perspectives. This goes on for like 15 minutes. She asks me a question. I give a short answer and say that there's people she can ask in the student center and that I'm busy. This woman said, "You can take a few minutes to help out a prospective student." Actually, some of us are busy or simply don't want to be bombarded with questions. I finally just started to walk away, and this woman steps in front of me to block me so she can keep talking. Finally, I said, "There are people you can ask. I didn't sign up to be a tour guide. I have somewhere to be. Please let me get by." She gets angry and calls me rude and says I should be more welcoming to prospective students and that I should be happy people want to learn more about the school. Like, yeah, please do learn. It's just not my job to tell you. I just push past the woman and she continues yelling and trying to block me. I can still hear her ranting until I turn the corner. Some parents are so entitled. So PSA, just because someone is a student somewhere doesn't mean they're obligated to be your tour guide. Couldn't have said it better myself. Okay, now, I promise that this is the last story of the video. Entitled Mother at the Airport. I swear, there is nothing worse than a mother at an airport. Coming back from Cuba, and I noticed this family right away at the Verdadero airport because they were loud, and the mother had a perma scowl. Probably why she looked like she was in her late 60s than in mid 40s, which is probably more accurate. Getting on the plane, we're pushing everyone in line as they tried to move forward, because you know, the plane with the assigned seating will definitely leave without them if they don't get on first. The mother in question was sitting in the row behind me, but across the aisle. At one point, I could feel someone staring at me, so I looked back, and she was blatantly staring at me with the most disgusted look on her face. Probably because of my tattoos. Honestly, she seemed like the type. Whatever. Then we got off the plane. She tried to put past me instead of waiting her turn, but of course, I didn't let her because of plane etiquette. Then, as we were going through the hall towards customs, she's frickin' running down the hall. Bitch face firmly in place and telling her kids to hurry. Because we're all not going at the same place? Of course, I get through customs before her, and I'm the first one at baggage claim because I did arrive, and I travel frequently. So I'm standing at the part of the baggage carousel where the bags start to come out, and suddenly I'm pushed to the side. This DM, of course. I hold my tongue. Bags start coming out, and one gets stuck, and I go put it back on the carousel to help the owner, and I hear the loudest and rudest "Excuse me!" behind me. And she pushes me aside again to grab her kid's bag. Because the carousel wasn't huge. She just had to stand as close to me as possible. That's when I snapped. I just looked at her and said, "Wow!" Then she started yapping at me like an annoying little dog, saying how she is helping her kids and she was being polite. I just retorted, and she clearly hates her life. She obviously is the type of person who screams at customer service employees. She keeps going, and she's giving me a headache and not worth my time, so I just said, "Honey, you just need to shut your mouth right now." She did not like that one. She liked it even less, and I started laughing at her. I could tell she was definitely a bitch and is never calm on her behavior. My bag came before the rest of hers, and I left her there yapping like a little annoying chihuahua she is. The best part is that neither her husband nor her teenage children stood up for her. Her husband looked exhausted by her behavior. Parents, if traveling causes you to be a bitchy, annoying chihuahua, don't do it. Leave the rest of us in peace, please. Whew. That was an amazing story. I'll be honest. I am reading r/stories about Kevin. Oh, I haven't read this subreddit in like a long time. I can't wait to hear and see what stories this subreddit has today. The first story we have is "You'll shoot your eye out." Oh god. This is my story about a Kevin. Okay, in my youth I was pretty good friends with a Kevin. First, a little setup to the story. I was a teenager of divorced parents, and like a Christmas story, I got a BB gun as a gift one year from my father. And after a few months of only being able to play with it every other weekend, I snuck it home with my mom. But she hates guns, so I kept it at my best friend's house, who conveniently was also my neighbor. I kept it in the breezeway to the basement, so the rain wouldn't get to it, and I would grab it easily and take it to the woods near my house. So Kevin learned that I had a BB gun, and along with a few other friends would go down to the woods to shoot targets. Kevin thought it'd be funny to shoot some of the people that joined us.
What?
Even tried to shoot me, but after a threat of a beatdown, he stopped. So one day I went to go shooting and found that the gun was missing. Upset, I went to the woods following the sound of the gun, only to see Kevin shooting at a can. I said, "You need to ask before taking the BB gun," and took it from him, shoot a few targets, and went to leave. Kevin asked if he could use the gun some more. In hindsight, my mistake. I said, "Sure, you know where it goes. I'm going to Dad's this weekend, and we can continue shooting again then." Well, I get back Sunday and go to grab it again. It's missing. I thought, oh, he's already down there.
Nope.
So I went home and waited until I saw him the next day at school. This was before cell phones. I asked him where the gun was. He says to me,
"Don't worry, I stashed it in the woods."
Well, at the time I didn't worry too much because there was a lot of spots to stash it down there. It used to be an old dump, so surely he picked a good dry spot. So things happened, and it was a few days before I could get back down into the woods. So Kevin and I talked at school and set up a time after school so we could go shooting. I still didn't know where he was keeping it. As we entered the target area, I was shocked to see him reaching inside a bush to grab it from the barrel. It had been raining the night before, so a waterlogged BB gun was now in his hand. But I was delusional in thinking it would be okay. Unfortunately, the rain ruined the BB gun, giving it a hair trigger and having it jam every few shoots. I told Kevin he owed me a new BB gun. We both laughed for different reasons at the same time. Him because he didn't think he had to, me because I knew he couldn't. I remember thinking surely it's safe. He wouldn't be locking down the barrel of a charged gun with the trigger lock off, right? And well, if the title didn't help you guess, as soon as I finished the above thought, luckily for Kevin, he missed his eye. He did, however, shoot himself right between his eyes where the eyebrows connect. Oh my god.
What an idiot!
He got 2 stitches and ended up with a wouldn't see it if you didn't know there was an X-shaped scar right between his eyes. I still laugh to this day. It was a great life lesson because I was upset and was going to pursue justice. However, I decided to let karma take care of it. Now you can say what you will about karma, but there are times if you just trust her and she'll let you watch. That story was kind of hard to read. Next story. My stepsister is a Kevina. A Kevina is a female Karen. I mean Kevin. Which is essentially a Karen because Karens are stupid. I am a 28 male and my stepsister is a 23 female. Some background. My dad remarried 10 years ago, and despite the age difference, my stepsister and I are friendly to one another, but holy crap, she's dumb. We were setting off fireworks with a couple of friends a couple years ago, and she lit one up and held it in her hand. I stared at her like, what the hell are you doing? Then I quickly threw the firecracker and it went off a second or so later, and she was like,
I was meant to throw it.
yes. My sister is a decent driver, but needed her oil checked, so she dropped the car off where I work. I told her that she could take my truck home. She looked at me like something was wrong, and I said, I can't drive Chevrolets. What? Well, I drive a Ford, and they're built different. She has no problem driving my dad's truck, which is also a Ford. She's driven standard before despite her car being automatic. She locked herself out of her apartment a number of times somehow. I have a spare key since I've had to come and get her into the apartment a few times already. Her computer is a complete mess and all she downloads is sort of crap and never deletes anything. Oh my god. Third story. Kevin in history and PE. I've been thoroughly enjoying the stories on this sub, and I realized I have some to share of my own. My own Kevin went to high school with me. We only ever had 2 classes together, sophomore year history and PE. I didn't interact with him that much personally, and I don't actually remember if he graduated with us or what. I could check his yearbook, but I'm lazy. Anyway, this guy was an interesting person. Let's start with history. The history teacher, I'll call him Mr. Santos, was a super chill guy, and we spent a lot of class playing this history trivia game. To be fair, a wrong answer was punished less harshly than no answer. So some people said whatever the F came into their head, even knowing it was stupid. But some of Kevin's answers really took the cake. For example, the country with the highest number of Catholics is California. Kevin didn't seem to know the difference between a country, a state, or a continent. The most commonly spoken language in Africa is Japanese. The official language of Cuba is Cubism. Abraham Lincoln was shot by Barack Obama. World War II began in the year 2000. The most profitable American cash crop in the 1800s was hot dogs. Oh, no. On top of giving stupid answers, Kevin loved to ask stupid questions. He would often raise his hand in the middle of class and ask something completely off topic, often about the teacher's personal life or something offensive. Many of Kevin's classmates appreciated Kevin's ability to waste class time. However, I'm not convinced that it was strategic on Kevin's part. Here are some of the stupid questions. If you have sex with a girlfriend and she's pregnant and you're...
If you have sex with your girlfriend and she's pregnant and your thingy pokes the baby, is that child abuse?
In regards to the Great Recession which was going on at the time?
Why can't the president just make more money?
What would happen if you tried to sue a dead person?
This one actually succeeded in getting the teacher to explain the concept of suing in a state for 20 minutes. Shortly before the final,
If someone dies, do we all get an A?
during a video about Pearl Harbor survivors,
Wait, they have cars in Hawaii? How do they get there?
to the teacher,
Do you have a wife? Is she hot?
also to the teacher,
Hey, Mrs. White, the English teacher. Right? Be honest. Would you hit the...
okay, look. Oh my god. Some other moments from Kevin's history class. I have no idea how this topic came up, but at one point Kevin was arguing that men could survive if all the women died off, but not vice versa. His reasoning was, men do all of the building, women do all the cooking and cleaning and stuff. A girl who apparently knew Kevin's family was like,
Kevin, isn't your mom a construction worker?
his reply was,
Oh yeah.
we had an assignment to create our own totalitarian nation in North America. We had to come up with the rules, fictional timeline, resource map, propaganda poster, then gave a presentation on our fictional nation. Kevin's presentation was reading on what seemed to be word-for-word printout of the Wikipedia article on the United States. The other class I had with Kevin was PE. You would think that PE would leave Kevin with fewer opportunities to be obviously stupid. However, this ain't so. The PE teacher, I will call her Coach Ingram, was an older southern black lady. Relevant. However, not the nice grandma type. She was ex-military and ran PE class like a boot camp. Or at least how my bratty teenage self imagined a boot camp. In hindsight, I really respect Coach Ingram. She pushed us hard, but it was clearly for our own good. She once gave a speech about how we shouldn't take our education for granted, because if we could find a way to make a living that didn't involve having to see some of the stuff that she'd seen, we were very fortunate. A lot of students at my school were low income, and she generally wanted us to do well for ourselves. However, at the time, I was a total brat who thought Coach Ingram was mean and hard-ass because she wouldn't let me get away with weaponizing incompetence to avoid doing actual exercises in her class. So much for my strategy of striking out on purpose at baseball. She made me keep trying until I actually hit the thing. Anyway, I'm going off topic, but that's the kind of person Coach was. Anyway, one thing she did bring to class from boot camp is collective punishment, meaning if someone screwed up, everyone had to do push-ups, sit-ups, or burpees. Every day after taking attendance, the whole class had to do 5 push-ups for each student who forgot their PE uniform. Guess who forgot his PE uniform a lot? Kevin. Kevin also liked to ask Coach Ingram personal questions. Sometimes she would entertain these, and sometimes she would punish everyone for them. Every time Kevin raised his hand, the entire class sucked in their breath and cried out in protest, or crossed their fingers. It was honestly like Russian roulette. Some of these questions were, did you vote for Obama because he was black? For context, she had never even mentioned if she voted for Obama at all. How many people did you kill? Do you believe in God or aliens? Why are most PE teachers over white? Her response, are you implying something, Kevin? While standing over him, giving him a menacing gaze. Hey, coach, Do you know Mr. Adams, the math teacher? Yeah, you know what he's saying? He said those that can't do, teach, and those that can teach PE. Her response, huh, probably true. 10 burpees, everyone, and cackled wildly. Hey, Coach, if I can do the Soldier Boy, can I not run the mile? Coach said. Sure, if you want to get an F. He tried to do the Soldier Boy anyway, but couldn't remember it. For this last one, I basically needed to write out the whole conversation. Basically, we were in the middle of class playing street hockey, and the white girl, not from our class, comes into the court, walks up to Coach and says, "Here, Kathy, your lunch." To me, it immediately struck me as weird. She called her by her first name. My teenage self, what the heck? Coach is an actual person? With a full name and personal relationships?
Mind blown.
Kevin is also surprised before the girl even leaves. He steps away from the game and raises his hand and goes, Coach, 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 who is that? Coach decides to answer this question. Now that the whole class is paying attention, she puts her hand on the white girl's shoulder, smiles, and says, "This is my daughter, Delilah." When Delilah hears, she immediately squeals and hugs the coach while jumping up and down, like obviously has a huge reaction that the whole class is confused by, and so is Coach. Coach is like, "Whoa, what is wrong?" And Delilah is like, "You called me your daughter." Now, this is super obvious to me, and everyone else in the class that has at least a double-digit IQ, that Delilah was adopted or something. The girls on my team are like, "That was hella freaking cute." It was clearly a big heartwarming moment. Even my bratty teenage self thought so. However, Kevin was still clearly confused. A few minutes after the girl leaves, the coach blows her whistle to end the class, and we all line up where we were supposed to, blah, 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 blah. Kevin raises his hand. "Coach?" "Yes, Kevin." "You f***ed the white guy?" Collective groan from the class. I've screwed lots of white guys. A beat. 30 push-ups, everyone. I am reading r/entitled Parents. This... I was just reading this, or listening to this story on a channel called r/, and I've always wanted to read it myself, so here is the story that he read. Entitled Parents tried to follow me on a flight and demand to speak to the manager. Backstory. This happened a few years ago. My parents are the epitome of what makes an entitled parent and have got plenty of stories about their antics. To sum it up quickly, I had turned 18 years old and decided to run away from them and live overseas. Where I am today, and I'm quite happy. This was the biggest decision of my life, and I was nervous as heck. They had done terrible stuff since my childhood, and I needed to get away for my own safety and well-being. I planned the flight about 2 weeks before the date, and my parents the whole time didn't think I'd go through with it. To be fair though, they'd only thought I was going for vacation for a short bit. Came the day, and after me calling an Uber to make it to the airport, they caved to save face and took me themselves. I checked in and did all the good stuff before I had to go through security. I waved them off and began to walk forward until the following goes down. "Excuse me, where is your boarding pass? I only see one here." He points at my boarding pass.
Oh, don't worry. We're just going to take our daughter to the gate.
No. I'm afraid you can't go past this post without a boarding pass.
What? But she's our daughter. You can't tell me what I can and can't do with my own daughter.
The security guy sighs and looks at a flustered me up and down. I have a baby face and have always looked much younger than I really am. Alright, how old is she?
Well, she's
I'm 18, sir. Well, she is an adult and does not require accompaniment from her parents. I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
But she does!
She's not mentally 18. She's mentally regressed and has issues.
I'm shocked and embarrassed. I had depression brought on by diagnosed PTSD. Those were my issues, yet she worded it to make me sound I was intellectually disabled. What?
She's mentally a child. She still likes Chinese cartoons.
He's referring to anime and manga. I don't see how that applies here. She seems capable enough. Do you feel you can go through on your own? Yeah, I'm okay.
Ugh, liar!
She begins stomping her foot in frustration like a toddler.
Just let me through right now with my daughter!
Yeah, and me.
Sai is calling another security guard over.
What seems to be the problem, miss?
This jerk won't let me go through the gate with my daughter who is mentally... R-word.
The real story, please.
The security guard explains the deal, and my entitled parents are fuming. They can tell by the looks on their faces that they're not going to get their way. Finally, my mom yells out the famously awaited Karen line.
I know my rights. I demand to speak to your manager.
Sorry, Karen, I'm making you sound like a total bitch in this story. Which she is. She is. So another person comes over, and the three of them are talking quietly together. Mom, Dad, this is going too far. I'm gonna miss my flight if this keeps going.
And whose fault is that? You should have booked a later flight.
My flight is at 11 p.m.
Not my problem if you miss your flight. That is on you.
Finally, they stop talking and approach us.
Hi. I think we can make a compromise. I'm not supposed to do this, but I'll allow one of you through with her to have a meal or just sit with her for a bit. I could really get in trouble doing this, but I don't know how far she's going and know it'll be hard. Reads the title name on her tag. I asked for a manager! Manager!
This is pathetic. Her proposal is also pathetic. How are you going to break up this nice family like that?
I really will be fine. I'll catch up with you next time, okay? I understand where you're coming from, but OP seems to be more capable and is an adult. I'm breaking the rules by letting one of you go through without a ticket, but it is my offer.
No, 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 no! This is ridiculous!
By now, my mom is stamping around, waving her arms around. She gets up close to the two security guards who kinda eye her, and she immediately backs away, but doesn't stop stomping.
Ma'am, I'm afraid if you don't stop, I'm going to have to escort all of you away.
I'm realizing he means me too, and I quickly mutter, "Oh shit," under my breath and begin to panic a bit.
Fine! We'll just take our daughter home then.
She takes my arm, but I quickly pull away. Stop.
How dare you? Apologize to your mother.
The supervisor looks at me. Would you like a parent to go with you? No, not really.
What?
Oh my god.
Okay, please come along then.
No! I demand you to let us on her flight with all the problems you caused!
Yeah, and make your first class already upgrades.
You didn't get the manager! You got a supervisor! You lied to me! Manager! Manager!
May I double check your ticket?
Yeah, of course. I show her my ticket. Perfect! The boarding pass is for one person. Step this way and enjoy your flight. Thank you. My mom grabs my arm. No! Okay, one of us will go through. Oh, Pete, you like Wendy's, right? Let's get Wendy's through there. I remove my arm from my mom's grasp. I know it doesn't say that, but I feel like my mom is grasping her, or this person, OP's hand. No, thank you. I grab my suitcase and walk through security. My entitled parents try to follow and are immediately stopped.
This is not the service we paid for. We should be allowed a ticket on the flight for this.
Wendy's, OP! Wendy's, come on! Wendy's! Wendy's! I don't look back, and now I'm further away. I can no longer hear them over the line of people I'm in. I got my flight just fine and arrived in one piece. I cut contact with both of them, and the legend has it, my mom is still screaming, Wendy's! To this day. Anyway, guys, that does it for r/entitled parents. If you enjoyed it, click or tap that like button. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on those post notifications too. And don't forget to subscribe to r/, which I'll put in the description below as well. Thanks you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!